r/AskReddit. Redditos with thin walls, what have you heard in your apartment? I once heard a former roommate laughing with his then girlfriend about how they're ducking me over on money. Turned out they were taking my utility portion and buying various games and alcohol. Instead of confronting them, I confirmed what they said with the utilities company. They hadn't paid the bill as 2 months, and I moved all my stuff out that day while they were at work. For good measure, I took myself off the lease and told them about the GF that had been there 6 months. Lost the battle, but you won the war. What happened after? Nothing too extreme. It took them a month to figure out I had left. Basically, when it came time to steal my money again, I got several angry voicemails and text messages until I responded I was blocking him and the GF. The last I heard from mutual friends was that he and GF broke up shortly after that, and she claimed my old room because they couldn't afford to move out. My old neighbor was a cam girl and I could hear absolutely everything she said in every single session for a good 4 months. Pretty much learned the names of her clients. I work from home, and it was always a gamble whenever I had to meet with someone virtually. This sounds like you could find out where she works pretty easily. Not that I would, but you know, it'd be great to pop in head chat going, hey neighbor, gonna head to the store, you need something from there? Just look, I've got a conference call with my boss in 15 minutes. Wrap it up. Duck you, man. If you don't like spaghetti, then you don't like me. That partially implies that the speaker is spaghetti. Italians' nervous systems are made of spaghetti. I see you've met my wife. Good spaghetti policy. I can hear when my neighbors vacuum. Our building tends to vacuum together as a result. I hear my upstairs neighbor and go, oh hey, I should vacuum, haven't done that in a while, and it's already noisy. Then my downstairs neighbor and my left hand neighbor start vacuuming. It's kinda hilarious. My right hand neighbor doesn't vacuum with us, but does sing opera while doing dishes. Do you ever run into your neighbors in the hall and be like, good vacuuming yesterday, huh? Hey, that's actually a great idea. I forget to vacuum for like long periods of time, but I can hear my upstairs neighbors vacuuming. Thanks for the tip. Oh god, what has Op done? Now everyone on earth is going to vacuum at the same time and we'll all die because they'll suck up too much oxygen. In college, I lived in a crappy apartment nearby the school that was mostly populated by students. Halfway to grass one day, I realized I forgot a book and had to rush back to my apartment to get it. As I was running up the stairs, which shared a wall with the stairs in the next door apartment, which mirrored my own, I could have sworn I heard someone yelling. I ignored it and ran to my room to grab my book. As I clambered downstairs, again I heard yelling, and I paused to listen. I heard some unintelligible moaning, and eventually heard the words help me weakly groan from the stairs next door. I rushed out and tried their door, but it was locked. I totally forgot about Michael Grass and ran to the apartment management office, hoping that someone was there. A manager was, thank goodness, and after I explained the situation, she grabbed her master keys and we booked it back to my neighbor's place. She opened the door and the poor guy was laying in the stairwell. It was one of the ones that goes up halfway to the 2nd floor, then turns 90 degrees for the rest of the way, clearly having fallen. I called 911 while the manager ran over to the guy. Ambulance came and picked him up, and I later learned that he had fallen down the stairs after grassing into a brief diabetic coma. I guess he hadn't eaten in some time. I don't know too much about how diabetes works. Anyhow, to this day, I feel grateful that I forgot that book. That poor guy could have died, slumped halfway down the stairs with his face in the carpet. Wow, it was good you went back. You should definitely feel proud. Thank you for saving that guy. My downstairs neighbors are a couple with a 1-year-old boy. The baby's room is right under mine. They speak so sweetly to him, I'm not even mad. that I can hear them so clearly. One morning the dad went in to get the baby out of bed and I hear him go, "Can you say daddy? Can you say daddy?" And in the tiniest little voice I heard daddy. My heart melted. So good to hear a story about good parents, instead of the countless shitty parent stories I just scrolled through. So cute. You should have said daddy. I really missed that opportunity, didn't I? Years ago I had an upstairs neighbor. At 2 a.m. every night, I would hear something sprint across the entire apartment. I realized 3 things. It was very fast, it took small strides, and it never deviated from its path. One day, I saw my neighbor outside and I said, "I don't know how you have energy at 2 a.m. He responded with, "Dude, I've been working the midnight to 8 a.m. shift for 15 years. Doesn't bother me at all." That night, I watched him leave his house, drive off, and waited 2 hours. At exactly 2 a.m., I heard what sounded like 2 feet hit the floor in his bedroom, and the marathon started. A few weeks later, I see him outside. I tell him what I hear at night and he says, "That's strange. No one has my keys. It's just me and my rabbit up there." Lol, you're not my downstairs neighbor, are you? I work late nights, and have a bunny. My neighbor has asked about similar things and we realized it was my little guy doing zoomies. So do you let it just run free all the time like a cat, or is there dedicated zoomie time? My upstairs neighbors taking turns zapping each other with a stun gun, hitting the floor, groaning in pain, and then laughing like Beavis and Butthead. I'm pretty sure I'd like your upstairs neighbors. I'd totally let myself be tased at least once. Judging by the sounds from upstairs, you'd have to allow it way more than once to roll with their crew. Honestly, I think after the first he doesn't allow or disallow the subsequent tastes. He really has no control over what happens to him. I once heard an argument that went a little like this. "Stop treating me like I'm stupid. You asked if seahorses were mammals, Jessica. They give live birth. So, are seahorses mammals? Actually, if I'm correct, the females lays eggs, like a normal fish would, and the male keeps them in a pouch on his tummy, until they're ready to emerge." I actually manage an apartment complex where my office is surrounded by a 1-bedroom unit. The building is old and the walls are thin. The tenant that used to live in the unit was a quiet man, but would frequently sing beautiful opera music. His voice was amazing, and I loved it every time I heard him sing. Then one time I saw him in the halls, and made the mistake of asking if he was the one who sang these beautiful opera songs. His face turned red, but he confirmed that it was him. I told him that I always enjoyed it when I heard him sing, and that it would always brighten my day. Never should have said anything, because I never heard him sing again. I had a neighbor who was a professional opera singer. While chatting one day I made a comment about her singing. She got embarrassed and said she would start practicing in her bedroom or another location so as to not bother me. I had to all but beg her not to do such a thing as I thoroughly enjoyed it. What a shame. I've heard and felt the neighbors upstairs having sex, and apparently they like to rearrange the furniture at least twice a week. My upstairs neighbors used to do the furniture moving thing. We both had studio apartments, and it was a huge mystery to me how they could move what sounded like a warehouse full of furniture for an hour in such a tiny place. In our old apartment, our upstairs neighbor had extremely loud, theatrically enthusiastic sex in the middle of the day. The puzzle was that he would stop in the middle, and we'd hear him walk to where the bathroom is, stay there for a minute or two, and then walk back and resume in the bedroom. It was the same pattern every time. We could never figure out what that was all about. Any ideas welcomed. Cocaine. Could be his partner made him wash before oral sex, or after anal etc. I lived next to a guy who took care of his disabled girlfriend. She stayed home with a nurse while he worked to support them and pay for her healthcare. Everyone really admired him for it. He used to get drunk and tell her that if she doesn't start putting out he's gonna throw her grass out. I was expecting something nice and now I feel like I turned hard into a wall. I was expecting a twist. I was not expecting that twist. An argument about money while I was doing the dishes. It ended with a slammed door and one of them on a piano, hitting the keys like a maniac. Some people read, some people go get something to eat, some people exercise. This methodica relieves stress by going crazy on a piano lol. Angrily plays Mozart. Lol, I can just imagine someone with a very distressed look on their face professionally playing Mozart and it's hilarious. I lived next to a couple some years ago and they came home after a night out and started fighting about who was better at darts. I thought they were joking, but it got pretty heated. Doors were slammed. Edit. Since people are asking, they were playing darts at the bar earlier that night. From what I could tell they were playing as a team and the boyfriend wasn't pulling his weight and was super defensive about it. Had an off night, allegedly. The girlfriend was mad he couldn't accept she was better. I'm no detective, but think they had some relationship issues bigger than darts. I still don't know who thought it was a good idea to combine alcohol and darts. There's this new fad of axe throwing. Axe throwing places keep popping up and they all sell alcohol. Who thought axes and alcohol should be mixed? And their insurance rates must be insane. You've reached the end. You're a star. Destroy the subscribe button for more like that.